Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate. We have a guest here, Mr. Tyler Costa from our office.
Hello.
Right? We're excited because this is going to be one of the first discussions we have with somebody about a specific topic. Mm-hmm. And Tyler, I think, is a very unique individual to be speaking toward this, just because he's only been an agent for how many years? 4?
I'm going on my fourth. Yep.
4th year. Okay, yep. Perfect. Great. So the focus of this is networking, right? Which in real estate means lead generation.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
That,
Huge.
That
right.
word,
yes.
lead gen.
So as team lead here, Mary Hope, can you just sort of break down for viewers, listeners, what does lead gen mean in the real estate world?
Oh, man. Gosh, that's a big
On the
question.
spot.
On the
question,
spot.
right? Yeah.
Do you see how hard it is?
He start off hard, it'll get easier.
Wait, before I jump into that, have you ever been on a podcast, Tyler?
Actually, yes.
Yes, you have.
Wait,
yeah.
one? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
With Joe.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Seasoned
agent. Well, I had never done one before this. So, so lead gen, I would say, is the core of real estate, meaning making those connections between you and those who may buy and sell, so that when they are ready to buy or sell or invest, they come to you.
Yep.
What do you think? What would your definition?
I think lead gen is a scary word for, like we were talking about earlier, networking. It's really all it is. Mm-hmm. It's like the professional way to say.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what I think.
In real estate, at least.
Yeah, it's like real estate language for networking.
Yeah.
Well, and it involves so many things, and that's why we've put this kind of big name of lead gen.
Yep.
However, it looks so different for every agent, and we've seen that even by the interviews we've had with people.
Yeah.
Lead generation is the activity.
Mm-hmm. Or activities.
Correct.
Yep.
That connects us with other people. That's the way I would say it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you?
I know that's spot on. Yeah.
Which I think I like the word networking a lot better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that also can be vague.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do I network? So that's why I like this topic, because there's a lot of avenues of networking, and not all lead generating is networking per se,
right?
The way we think of it, but everything is the connection between you and people.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, and I think if we were to break this into 2 separate buckets, right? And the reason that this topic just seemed like one that I wanted to get a discussion going on is because in my previous industry, in the entertainment industry, there is no such thing as lead generating, right?
Right.
However, as a freelancer, you are dependent upon referrals for your next job, right? Like I don't get hired onto a show because some studio is going through a hiring roster or placement program. It's all word of mouth. It's all connective tissue between people you've worked with before or who have recommended that you would work well with somebody else. And so I was doing it unintentionally, knowing that I was lead generating for business. But then you come into real estate and suddenly it's like, now here's this bucket where lead genning is your job.
Yeah.
As opposed to just this thing that kind of organically occurs, in different businesses and arenas.
The biggest thing I'm hearing in what you're saying is you do a good job, and that creates the referral piece. Mm-hmm. But how did you get started with?
Sure, the entry point.
The entry, that's the hard thing for anybody to do,
right?
Especially in real estate.
Correct. Yeah. Where is that starting point? And I think it's interesting. You started off saying there's no such thing as lead genning in my past industry,
quote unquote. Yeah.
But there really was.
There is.
And I think there's a lot of people in our industry, dare I say, that think they don't lead generate, and they do. Right. I didn't think I lead generated.
Yeah.
I just had conversations.
Network.
Yeah,
which we were talking about earlier too.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit, just to give us a small snippet, a 60-second introduction of who you are, and then we can kind of play off of that.
Okay. I am Tyler Costa, owner of Costa Living Real Estate. Been with Keller Williams ever since I started, going on 4 years now. Haven't looked back. I come from a mechanical engineering degree, graduated at UNH, where I met my wife, and now we have an 11-month-old, which both of you have met, and it was just here. I have always been told by my father to work for myself. Didn't ever know where that would lead me, what that meant, but I was good with math, so I pursued engineering. COVID hit, and I decided I wasn't happy. My wife, Stephanie, who was working here at the front desk and then moved up right out of college, she introduced me to everybody here. And over the 4 years, everybody was saying, Tyler, you'd make a great agent. I'd go to all the events that KW would host. And it just, like I said, COVID started, and I'm like, I'm just going to make a jump, quit my job, got licensed, and within a month I was full bore ahead.
So you quit your job even before you got your license?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's scary.
And I got the support from Stephanie to make that move. That was the biggest piece, because we were living together in an apartment, but she trusted me, and like I said, everybody here was saying, Tyler, you'd make a great agent. I needed that confidence boost from everybody to trust myself to make that jump. Haven't looked back. It's been the best decision I ever made.
Now, where did you grow up?
In Nashua.
In Nashua,
New Hampshire. Yep.
So that's another sort of interesting thing, because I know, like, when we had, I think it was Stephanie on, right?
Right.
She did not grow up in New Hampshire. She came from many other states. She traveled
Yeah.
quite a bit. So her entry point into real estate was one where she didn't have like a dedicated,
tougher.
community-based
Yeah.
friends of friends, neighborhood, anything. Was that your first sort of go-to, like when you got into this and everybody said, all right, now your job is lead genning, get on the phone, get out there and start making calls? Did you just immediately start hitting up everybody you knew?
I think the coach at the time, who wasn't Tony, told me, go through your contacts list, put it in your CRM, your client management system, and just call everybody. Let them know you're in real estate. And that was tough for me, because I wasn't originally the type of person that would just pick up the phone and call. And now it's, if I'm not getting to somebody, I need to pick up the phone and call, because otherwise it's just not, the conversation that needs to happen just isn't going to happen. Yeah. So yeah, I called all 1,000 people on my phone, and that
How did that feel?
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
because I wasn't I was an engineer, and part of the problem was
You're a social engineer.
yes, and that was kind of what directed me to Keller Williams,
Yes.
because if I was like the very introverted, like quiet engineer, it probably would have never worked, or I would have had to break through a harder shell.
Correct.
So yeah, it was definitely it was nice, because me transitioning into Keller Williams, I already knew a lot of people, and it felt like family was supporting me.
Yeah.
Plus, there were so many good agents here that know so much.
So when you're saying that, and it's something very different, you had already built trust with people who were telling you what to do in
Yes.
real estate. I think that's probably the hardest thing, is we're all coming in as new agents. When someone told you to call everybody on your phone, you called everybody. I didn't.
Yep.
Because I wanted to be creative. I wanted to, whatever.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
Because you already trusted that person, and there's a systems that work. So how did that go, though? Calling 1,000 people.
Well, I got a lot of no's, got a lot of, oh, great, sure, cool. But ultimately, I think it was Bill that told me every no is one step closer to the next yes. So it was a numbers game at that point, and me with being an engineer, like, oh, okay, so if I just call 100 people, if I get one person, that'll translate to this much in GCI, that'll, one transaction, GCI, and you just build from there. But the biggest thing that I learned, especially because one of the agents that Kathy, who brought me on to Keller Williams, she was our realtor for when we bought while I was engineering. So she basically helped me get comfortable and broke my and I saw how she did business, and her biggest thing was do it right the first time, and it's all about the client. It's not about the money. I was literally just talking to her earlier today. Don't chase the money, chase the satisfied client, and the satisfied client will
Bring the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so in regards to networking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was it was painful, but you just did that.
Yeah.
And
And.
your business doesn't just come from that.
No.
So how did you continue building that? How did you network with people?
Yep.
And that changes throughout the years,
Yep,
and I'd love
of
to
course.
talk about that from there. And what worked really well?
Always asking for referrals more than just at closing.
Tell us more.
So if I'm connecting with a new buyer or a new seller, I'm usually saying, going through the whole consultation, figuring out what their needs are, but then asking, hey, if you know of anybody who's looking to buy or sell, I'd be happy to make a connect. I'd be happy and honored if you made a connection. And then there's a 50% chance that they'll call, but 100% chance that I'll call if you can share their information. So really kind of pushing it from the beginning to ask for the connection. And now it's implanted. Even if they don't tell you right there and then on the first meeting, sure, here's my uncle's number. Now they know that I'm going to be asking for that down the road and at closing and. And it sounds annoying. And I'm sure to some it might be, but it helped me work on the conversations that need to happen regardless. Because otherwise, if you forget to ask at the end, you never asked in the first place. So,
it's no ask, no answer.
Right.
And it takes, marketing standpoint, up to 7 points of exposure before somebody is actually willing to sometimes say yes to a question.
I believe
or to
that.
information. So, and it's something I noticed that you do, again, very sort of organically, very intuitively. And I know it's just because, I'm out in the field shooting photos for your listings and whatnot.
Yeah,
When you're talking with the sellers, you get into conversations with them that go beyond sort of the topsoil discussions about what you're doing with them. You're saying, how's your brother doing? Or, oh, your brother's into that, right? You start asking questions about them on like a familial, level. And you can tell they just sort of adopt you like you're their, next door neighbor or best friend, right? And then they'll just be like,
or family realtor.
Yeah, exactly. Like my buddy owns this and he's thinking about that. And you're like, oh, really? Great. Well, and you offer value to your clients outside of yourself, which I think is just another one of those sort of ingratiating sort of things that you can do because, both Tyler and I were in BNI, which is Business Networking International. We're in separate chapters. But that whole thing is, it's sort of
giver's gain.
Yeah, giver's gain, power of one. You're always thinking about for sort of the seat member next to you and how you might be able to get them business. But alternatively, also how you can provide value to those you care about, clients or otherwise, through the connections and the network that you have.
So going back to your question about networking, and it relates to this because BNI has provided a lot in terms of my growth, but the biggest thing has been what I can provide to my clients. So I'm never looking, I ask all my fellow BNI members, hey, buyer sellers, send them my way, but I'm always looking for what do you need? So if any of my clients ask for a carpenter or a plumber, an electrician or a lawyer, like I have those connections to make, or a photographer. So it's just, I'm a big proponent of giving, and like I said earlier, you give and not with no expectations, and that'll provide.
So it's very interesting, just even hearing you guys talk a little bit. When you were talking about at the very beginning of your business, you trusted people, and so you did what they said, and just did it. I see.
I see what you're getting at.
No, I'm observing as you're talking that you have to build that trust with somebody. So if you had been saying to people, hey, send me a referral, before you built that trust with somebody,
of course,
it means nothing.
No, nothing.
And because you pour into and give so much to your clients, you've also trained them to say, hey, trust me, this works. Does that make sense?
I do that all the time.
I feel that when we were talking about networking works, marketing works if you already have a foundation of trust. And those things are only good as far as you are good. Right?
It's a know you, like you, trust you business.
And so many people are good and then don't go to that next step to ask for that referral or put themselves out on social media, and people don't know how good they are.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It's definitely a shyness piece to it. I've seen a lot of agents who are, who they crush their deals that they get, but it's taking that next step and coming in here and doing videos and doing the thing. Everything works, nothing doesn't. So just trying to get your name, get your.
Well,
I saw who did I meet last week? Somebody I met last week. They were like, "Oh, I saw I've seen your logo. I don't know where. It was probably social media,
Right.
but I'm in there."
You're in there.
Yeah.
And when you say shy, I would say scared. We're fearful
Yeah.
It's fear. Yeah.
of doing it wrong. We're fearful in asking those referrals.
Yep.
We're afraid that someone might not like us. I was afraid the first time I did a podcast. No, it really is.
Me too. I was sweating buckets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we kept like de-shining you, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Now I'm good. Look, no sweat.
No sweat. You are a professional. That's why we brought you on, because we knew you were a professional. But that's with any of this, right? It's the unknown. And even though I go back to those 1,000 calls, that's a fear factor. There's a big fear factor, yet you trusted someone and you were willing to go to that next level.
Yeah.
I feel like with our industry, we're one step away from the next step. But it's usually fear that doesn't get us there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just something I observed.
No, great.
It's
Well,
very
here's a question for
fascinating.
you, because
Sure.
again, like the idea behind this podcast is to really sort of address like you know nothing about real estate, right? You've been living in an apartment, you've never even thought about buying
Yeah.
a home, and now you're kind of swirling the waters and just trying to understand
Yeah.
how it all works. A lot of people, I think, have the misconception that I feel like, oh, I could be an agent, that they're just going to join an office and the office is going to send them the leads and then they're going to go out and execute on being an agent and, you know, buying it or selling. And then you come in and you realize, oh, no, it's on me to go and find the business, to find the clients and you know, your tribe. Did you have any like either incorrect preconceived notions about how this works, or did you kind of come in with like eyes wide open because you had that relationship of an agent who kind of like spelled it out for you?
It was definitely the latter, Steph. And I made a lot of connections with realtors in the office. So I saw what success looked like. And I just wanted that. Plus and again, it's a double-edged sword, because you're in real estate, you're making your own schedule, but if you don't work, there's nothing coming in. It's strictly commission, at least from my perspective at Keller Williams.
Yeah.
But I knew I needed to put work in, and I also knew that I have the ability to put the work in. I just needed to learn how to do it. So the coaching program was huge for me,
Yeah.
because that was every day I would be in here
Yep.
for probably the first 6 months, every single day, Monday through Friday.
You showed up.
I showed up every day, and if I didn't, it was because I was doing something for myself and for Stephanie.
Yeah.
And then the weekends with 400 agents in the office, hey, do you guys need an open house coverage?
Yeah.
Meet new buyers. I met so many buyers from open houses my first year.
Yeah.
Just agents who are too busy, that's part of the job. Like,
Yeah.
you want to leverage other people's time, so now they're getting enough business to pass it to the new guys, which I'm already passing to people here
which
too.
is a great-
It feels good. Like, I'm making more free time for myself, and I'm not, working 48 hours a
Yeah.
week, 48
Yeah.
hours a day.
So can I ask you about,
Yes.
God, that was easy.
Are we done?
That was easy. You're now jumping a little bit more into social media,
Yes.
which is another form of networking.
Yep.
And I'd like to talk about how you see that. 'Cause-
Which just to reiterate, when Facebook came online, it was a social network. Before social media was a thing,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
social network,
Yep.
right? And Avatar
Spot on.
the movie. Yeah.
And and that's very interesting, because I think Facebook is probably the closest one to a network. All the other ones are there,
Yep.
and they show up, but there's no connection.
Yep.
Would you say, right? You can't
LinkedIn.
have
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I was
Okay,
thinking.
But
LinkedIn,
that's-
that's
It's more business.
It's meant for that. It's
Yeah.
not.
yeah, it's not as much of a
It's
social.
Which it is, but they don't advertise like Facebook would.
Yeah. Everybody who's on LinkedIn is
market.
there to network B2B. Like it's
Right.
it's not, P2B, I guess, technically, really. It's really B2B. So
People to
everybody kinda
business is what you're getting at?
knows. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Peanut butter and
B2B,
jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. Purposeful business. I get
The jelly.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just not the J. So, how do you use social media, social networking,
Yep.
and how do you see it? Because it seems like you started your business just working hard
Yep.
and doing all the things, and it wasn't one thing that right? We would like to have that one shiny object that those 1,000 calls made you 50 deals.
Yeah.
Just doing open house, right? You did
Everything.
all of it and
Yep.
learned it. Now, how do you see social networking coming in?
I see social media, networking, whatever you want to call it, more of a branding piece in my business.
Tell me
I'm
more.
not looking for leads, though they will come. I'm sure I'll get some leads, especially with all the videos we're doing. But I see it more as, hey, here's me. Here's what I can provide. Send this to your family and friends. Educate them. Make them feel like they know what's happening. And then when there's questions, who sent? Where was that video? Oh, it was on social media. Okay, I'll just reach out to them all
Yep.
there. And that's been. And actually, the last buyer consult I had last week, she has high school. I've known her since high school. Recently married, recently had a kid, and she just saw that I've been heavy on social media and just reached out.
So you already had that relationship,
Yep.
but not a business relationship.
Yep.
But you were friends on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what she saw, she reached out to you.
Yep.
So it wasn't a cold lead. Let's talk about that a little bit,
Sure.
about those current relationships and how you can use social media.
Birthdays, Facebook is a big one.
Oh, thank goodness for Facebook
Thank
birthdays.
goodness. I don't know what I would
Although,
do.
not thank goodness for the auto-generated birthday messages now, because
Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
What they
getting the
did.
same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
And
like,
it's
oh,
become
I bet I
even
could.
dumber, easier, and it's like, wow, it's even less personal now.
Yeah, with those emojis and
Which is why getting their phone number, address, email is so critical, and putting it in a CRM that you follow and create tasks
Yeah.
for.
I used to like religiously wish everybody happy birthday on Facebook back when it was just, the reminder that it was somebody,
Yeah.
out in LA.
Because it
And-
wasn't, which one do I want to pick? Oh,
no,
this
exactly.
one.
And, and like, again, like just doing it to do it, not with any sort of like plan or anything, but like I would say that. And of the 8 people who had birthdays, 1 or 2 of them would say, hey man, haven't talked to you in a long time. Would be great to catch up.
Yes.
And then boom, coffee meeting. And then boom, they got the show coming up. And then boom, they're bringing me on.
there we go.
So you just did it,
Yeah.
But now I'm fighting against a lot of what's becoming
automated?
easy. Yeah, like now it's like I'm sending like personalized videos of myself, sincerely wishing somebody happy birthday, especially because most of them are, out in LA and I haven't seen them in years now. And so to me, it's like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to cherry pick the people I'm doing it to, because it's going to be more authentic and be hopefully more meaningful to the person who's
Definitely.
receiving it. And those are the things that can carry through in all aspects of your marketing as an agent.
Not just
right?
birthdays.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been so Facebook birthdays, great to just pull those days.
Yep.
Sometimes it can be awkward to ask, hey, when's your birthday?
Yeah.
Especially if it's like next week or next, like it was yesterday.
Yesterday, that's awkward.
Yeah, oof.
Oh, and you've been talking to them all day and didn't know it was your birthday.
That would be even worse. Yeah. Haven't had that situation come up yet, but like I said, branding is the biggest push for social media, in my opinion, because now it gets your face out there, your voice, instead of just doing an email or a text. And
Yep.
sometimes you don't have their number, so it's hard to get in immediate touch with them. And they feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever somebody's watching a video and they're talking to the camera, they feel like that person's talking to them in some aspect. So now it's like, oh, okay, and that gets ingrained into their brain. Whenever real estate gets brought up, oh, I know somebody, or oh, I just learned this new thing, like we're doing tips for buyers, sellers, whatever, and those things will just come up.
Yep.
So.
Well, I think, isn't the stat that most people use the first person they think of to be as your realtor, right? Everybody knows.
So you gotta be
4
top of mind.
realtors,
Yeah, top of
right?
mind, omnipresent.
Everybody knows 4 realtors, but they're only going to talk to one.
Yep,
I think social media, that is one of the best
definitely.
avenues of it, because you're not having to call and text and pound them on, hey, do you know anyone thinking of buying and selling, right?
Yep.
That gets annoying, especially if it's a relationship that you have, a real life relationship. However, it's a very, at least in my business, I think probably 50% of my business throughout the years came from social media. Not,
Impressive.
I really do believe that because of the different avenues of my life, right? Kids, parents of kids that I knew, or, you know, like my kids'
Sports
friends.
and stuff.
Sports that I might not have had a close relationship with. I didn't talk to every week. And so it would have been weird for me to always be pounding them with, who do you know thinking of buying and selling real estate, right? Because I didn't have that close relationship. And they were able to see what I was doing without me directly advertising to them. And I think that's the beauty of social networking, is that you're able to advertise without
Advertising.
asking for the sale all the time.
Yeah.
Well, because, and you think about it, right? In an ideal sense, people don't want to be sold to. They want to go shopping with a friend, right? And it's like all about your personality, what you're about, your essence, your energy. Those are the attracting, you know, magnetic kind of intangibles that are going to bring, ideally, your best clients to you as well.
Yep.
And people can't get a sense of that if you don't put it out there for them in some way, shape, or form, right?
Totally.
And it's either going out there and doing a whole bunch of big, you know, networking events, in-person kind of stuff. It's being online. You know, the days of billboards and newspaper ads and commercials are gone, because we as a society, we don't want to be
Sold
we,
to.
we don't want to be sold, and we don't want to see ads, right? And
So
anytime
annoying.
something comes in front of us that, you know, looks or smells like an ad, you know, unless it's something that like is really like entertaining or very topical or of interest to you directly, specifically in the moment you're in,
Yeah.
we
So
swipe
true.
past it.
So, yeah.
You know, so you have to sort of be okay with talking about the things that aren't necessarily the direct ask of, you know, looking to buy or sell. It's, hey, I just went and did this trip with my family and it was amazing. Does anybody have any other places that they know of that's like this? Right? It's a connection point.
Yeah.
It's a connection.
Yeah.
It's a network. What would be one thing that one piece of advice for a new agent or someone considering getting into the business that you would give to your younger self?
Make the calls. Just make the calls and you'll learn along the way.
Mic drop.
There you go.
I
That's
can't
true.
drop
I
this
know.
mic.
Let's not
Yeah,
drop
no.
Can we
this
get a
mic.
fake mic in here? That would be great.
That's not nice and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the work. Is
Do the
essentially
work.
what you're
Do the
It's
saying.
work.
not, and it's going to be monotonous,
Yeah.
but
Has it changed your business, your family's
oh my
life?
God, totally. My wife stays at home with my child, and I can provide that to them. And that's been the biggest takeaway for my entire business. So thank you, everybody that's been able to get me to this point.
Yeah.
You guys included.
Yeah.
And the studio included.
But you've also done the work.
And I've done the work. Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle at KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the sign.